Yahweh Bashem Yahushai Bashem Makakudash Barakatham. It is Monday, June 12th. And I had a dream Saturday night. Which would have been the 10th. But I was debating on even telling this dream, but I can't shake it. So the dream took place in Oakland. I'm in Oakland, California. I don't live there now, but that's where I'm originally from. And the dream took place in Oakland, and I can't remember a lot that happened prior to, but I'll just say what I can remember. I know it was like a big fiasco that happened. And I wanted to remove myself from the people that were involved. So I just walked away from the situation, and I end up where our old church was, our old family church, on 98th, 96, was it 96, 99th, 98th. Long story short, I'm walking, and I noticed that it doesn't look like it looked when I was a child. It looked, I could tell that I was still in that neighborhood, but it was like remodeled since I had last been there. But it was still kind of like worn down, like it wasn't newly remodeled, but it just looked different to me. And then I noticed at a distance I saw my mother walking. So I kept some distance between. I was like, I wonder where she's going. So I just followed her to make sure she made it home safely. In the dream, I knew that she was going home to a little apartment complex that we used to live in when I was younger, when I was a little girl. Not too far from there, maybe like a 10-minute walk or so on 99th, right? Well, anyway, I'm following her at a distance, and I make sure she gets home. And when I make sure she gets home, I deter. So I continue to go the route that I was going at first. Well, once I start walking and got deeper into the direction where I was trying to go, I was like, you know what? This is just, it was like too ghetto. I was like, let me get up out of here. Let me just go ahead and get back to the car. And I'll just drive while, you can't understand dreams. Okay. So I said, you know what? Never mind. So I turn around. When I turn around, I see this Edomite lady kind of like just a few steps ahead of me, walking in the direction that that I turned around to walk in that direction of. And as we're walking in that direction, I noticed this police truck. It was a white police truck that had nosedived into the curb, right? And it was so crazy because it literally nosedived into the curb, and it was literally balancing on the bumper. The back wheels was like levitating in the air, and it was the truck was kind of like hooked onto the power line. So weird. I don't know how that happened, and I didn't even hear anything or whatever. So whatever whoever was driving was still sitting behind the wheel. And then there was a Edomite, who I thought was Edomite, a police officer. He was standing right by the truck, and he was baiting for us. He walks up to us, and he's like, I just need y'all to steer clear right now. Just kind of like just staying right here for a minute. And I'm like, wow, is the person okay? They were like, oh yeah, he's fine. It was just a little, just a little mishap. And I'm thinking to myself, how is this a mishap? But I didn't ask any questions. I just kind of like just stood there. And he looks at me, and he looks at the Edomite lady standing next to me. And he looks at me, and he says, in the next few weeks, you're going to have to wear a mask. He said they're spraying some in the air, and it's only going to attack you. And he looks at the Edomite lady, and he looks at me like I knew exactly what that meant, right? Now it was so weird because I knew exactly what that meant. Call I'm like, how about Shem Yahshai is 1044. I knew exactly what that meant. To me in my spirit, the way he said it, it was like it's coming for Jake. Like whatever they're spraying is only going to affect Jake. So I was like, wow. He was like, yes, so you're going to need to wear a mask. And that's for the next few weeks. In these next few weeks, you're going to need to wear a mask. So I was like, okay, because honestly, I hated the mask situation. I never wore any of the masks when that whole thing happened. I just hated it. But when he said that, I was like, okay, you know, he knew something that I didn't know. And another thing, one thing about him that stood out to me was, okay, he didn't have on a blue uniform. His uniform was like a khaki color, right? And then he had like a baseball cap on, which was so weird because when I told my husband and I told my best friend this dream, they both said like a sheriff or something, right? And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, it would be a sheriff, but he didn't have on a sheriff hat. He had on like a baseball cap. He literally had on a khaki baseball cap, but his hair was all white, and he had a full beard, like not a hair out of place, right? And his beard was white and his hair was white, but he was like he was a tan. When I first saw him, instantly Edomite, right? But when he said that, like, I was like, he trying to indirectly tell me something. So my whole spirit kind of like changed, like he could be a speckled bird, right? But long story short, he says, whatever you do, and he's like, he pointed his finger at me. He says, whatever you do, you make sure you call on Yahushai. When he said that, chills shot through my body. Because then in that moment, what I already was thinking, I knew. Because what I was thinking is like, nah, his energy is giving me speckled bird. His energy is giving me speckled bird, right? But when he pointed at me, I'm getting the chills right now. Oh my gosh. He pointed at me and said, whatever you do, you call on Yahushai. And in that moment, I was like, wait. I wanted to tell it. Like, I wanted to be like, you ain't. I knew who he was in that moment, right? So he said, I was like, wow. I said, I know who you are. I know who you are. And he kind of like smiled with a smirk on his face. And he said, you call on Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. And it was like, he said it so powerfully. And the Edomite woman that was standing, I'm getting the chills everywhere. The Edomite woman that was standing on the side of me, she kind of just like looked at me. And she had this look of disgust. Like, I don't know what it was. I kind of, obviously, she was Edomite, but it was like she didn't know what we were talking about because he never addressed her, never said a word to her, and it was only to me. And he said, you call on Yahweh. He said, you call on Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. He said it with authority. And in that moment, I was like, this is an angel. This is an angel. Because how the hell was that truck even levitating like that to begin with? I didn't see who was behind the wheel. I just saw someone behind the wheel. So I'm assuming it was another police officer, right? So, because it made no sense for the power line to even be attached to. It was just so, the whole situation was weird. So as I'm like, wait, I know who you are. He does that smirk. And then he starts slowly backing away. I don't know why. I can't explain why, but I just wanted to touch him, you know? Like I was like, oh, like just by reflexes of, you know, excitement in a conversation. It was like when he said, you call on your first thing he said was, you call on Yahushai. Don't you forget them names. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. He was pointing at me, but it seemed like he never blinked. It was all eye contact. And once I reached out to him, I was like, I know who you are. Wait a minute, I know who you are. And the moment I wanted to say who he was, the words could not come out. It would not come out my mouth. And he was slowly backing away from me. Like I could not touch him. When he first started talking to me, he was like right up on me, like close up on me. Because then I didn't know who he was, realize who he was, or even what he was going to say. Y'all, that was crazy because I felt like he was an angel. I believe that was an angel that visited me in my dream. And it's crazy though, because my husband pointed out something to me. that I told him that night I had went to sleep with the song Soon, that I literally, the one that I had just done. I had it playing in my ears over and over and over, like throughout this while I was asleep. And when I was telling my husband this dream, he was like, and I had, cause he wanted, he was like, well, yeah, let me, let me hear it, So when I went into the store, I came out. He was like, it makes sense. He said it makes so much sense, why he told you about the mask. Cause I mentioned it to my husband. I was like, I wonder if that dream has something to do with it, because I mean, if me listen to the song, did it put me in a spirit of having a dream like that, where it was spiritual that way? Because my husband mentioned that it's a certain part of the song where I talk about the air being defiled. And he was like, maybe that's why he was telling you to put your mask on. And it's so funny and it's so crazy because it made so much sense. That day, before I even went to sleep, I felt some type of way about this weird rain. And I said that I didn't want to go and be outside all day. I told my friend, I was like, no, we'll just do a little barbecue and we'll just eat everything inside, because we were going to do it poolside. And I was just like, over it. Like, nah, I don't trust whatever happened, whatever they could have been spraying in the air. I told her that night I had that dream. I don't know if that was influenced by it, but it could have been anybody saying that to me. So I say all of that to say this. I'm sharing this dream because I feel like it was a warning, and I can't shake it for a reason. And then as I was just here on YouTube, I was scrolling and I saw that a brother had posted to his a brother had posted that I don't know who it was, that New York was saying there's another COVID situation supposed to be coming, but it's going to be different from the other. And it had a woman with a mask on her face. And I was like, you know what? Nope. I'm just gonna share this dream, and hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, I'm just doing it out of obedience, because my spirit is like, yeah. It says we're in another COVID wave, but it's not like the others. Yeah, and that was posted an hour ago. So I was like, let me just share this dream. Let me share this dream, because I would feel really bad if I don't share it, and Yahweh Shema Shai telling me to do it, and I not share this dream, and then I'd be held accountable for not sharing it. So just wanted to say that. I pray Yahweh Shema Shai continues to protect all of the hopeful elect, and Yahweh Shema Shai Barakatham to all of our families. May the blessing of election and protection be upon us. Shalom.